What's up, It Girls listeners? Today we have a very special guest joining us. Erin Matson is an American former field hockey player and the current head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels field hockey team. A standout player on that team from 2018 to 2022, she led the Tar Heels to win 4 NCAA championships and 1 as a head coach. Throughout today's episode, we'll delve deep into what it looks like to run a program with Erin and explore her unique insights and experiences on the field. Without further ado, let's welcome Erin Matson to the show. What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode, Season 2 of the It Girls podcast. And we have our first official guest of Season 2, Miss Erin Matson, and we are so excited to have you here. Erin, how are you doing?
I am good. I am just as thrilled to be here. I can already tell it's going to be a great conversation.
We, Erin, have been in contact with, is it your assistant? Is Dana your assistant?
She's my media communications manager, and she literally is like, these girls, we need to fit them in. We need to get them on the calendar. So thank you for the patience, but she's fabulous.
She's fabulous. Yeah.
I'm thrilled we're finally talking.
No, 100%. It's been awesome. It's like, we'll throw out a date and then you throw out a date and we're like, all right, we're going to make this work. Yeah. But just, you got to have patience.
Exactly.
Oh, well, with that being said, we are so happy to finally have you on. We've actually had a lot of people request to have you on the podcast. Our kind of managers, they sent us a while back and they were like, you should get her on when all of the people were posting about you. And we're like, don't worry, we've already emailed her. We're having her on.
We were so ahead of the curve. We emailed you before you had even won the championship. And then everyone's posting about you, Bleacher, poor all those people. And we were like, we're on top of it already. So don't even worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. So we obviously don't know much about you, and I know our audience doesn't know much other than you know how to win a lot. Mm-hmm. So tell us about yourself. Tell us where you're from, how you were raised, how you ended up at Chapel Hill, however deep you want to go.
Okay, let's do it. I guess I started playing field hockey when I was 6 years old. My mom went to Yale and played field hockey for 2 years there and softball for all 4. My dad went to Delaware and played baseball there. They're middle school sweethearts. So they've, been together for so long, athletic family, but also cared about academics. So growing up, I started playing when I was 6. I started playing for the best club in the country when I was 9, always playing up in age groups. And then I made the women's national indoor team when I was 13, and we started traveling to Argentina, Germany, Austria, a bunch of different countries and playing and competing. And then I made the national outdoor team, which is who plays in the Olympics, when I was 17. New Zealand, Belgium, China, all over South Africa. I've loved traveling the world. And all throughout that, I had to balance school and hockey. So then when it came to recruiting, I always prioritized somewhere where, yes, we could win and bring home trophies, because I'm very competitive, but also I could, have a good degree and lean on that for the rest of my life. So Carolina was perfect. And I just kept coming back to it. I looked at other schools. My parents were like, keep it open, decide, make sure you know. And it just always was Carolina. So came here, and my goal was to maybe win a national championship, but have a really great time, make some good friends, get an education, play for the most amazing coach. And here we are with 5 national championships in the last 6 years, 4 as a player, 1 as a coach. And now I am literally living my dream in my dream place, coaching my dream people and working with my dream staff, and just working hard, keeping my head down, but really enjoying every moment of it.
That is so cool. Erin, do you have siblings?
I do. I have a younger brother. He's a junior in college. He plays baseball at Harvard.
Cool.
So yeah,
he was a smart family.
Yeah. Hey, we will get into it, but my parents, they knew what they were doing. I am very grateful for them. But yeah, he was the one always drug at 5 a.m. to all the field hockey tournaments and asleep in the back seat, and my dad's carrying them in. And it actually worked out because baseball, he could roll me balls and hit me balls and stuff, and I could trap them. So it was a good little combo going on there.
That is awesome. So,
for people, speaking for myself that don't know field hockey that way, baseball and field hockey translate. What translates best with field hockey in terms of training?
Sure. I would say when I try to describe it, bare bones, It's a mix between lacrosse and soccer. And so it's similar tactics and stuff of soccer, but the speed and change of direction and lots of shooting like lacrosse. But it's obviously played on the ground, and there's a ton of rules. One of the biggest hurdles in America is one, we don't have a male counterpart. So it's like everybody, wants to play football, basketball, baseball, all this stuff, which is fabulous. But you go over to the Netherlands or Argentina, and you either grow up playing soccer or field hockey, and it's crazy, either whether you're a guy or a woman. So yeah, Google men's field hockey. It is crazy. But the other biggest hurdle is just people don't know enough about it. And there's so many of these little rules that it's like, if you watch, you're like, okay, this is really exciting, but what the hell's going on? So we're always constantly trying to tell people this is why, this is the tactic behind it, this is the rule. And then once people get here, watch it, and kind of start to pick up on that stuff, we find they're obsessed. It's just getting over that hurdle.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I was kind of looking at the rules, and I think to your point, knowing the rules is definitely a hurdle. And so the more it's on TV, the more you have color announcers explaining the rules as the game goes, it just furthers the sport more too.
Exactly.
That's how it's worked for volleyball for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is one of the rules where it can't touch anywhere else on your body? Am I making that up?
So your hand that's on the stick is like an extension of your stick. But arm, foot, legs, it can't. So lots of footwork, it's always funny. People are like, I could pick up a stick and, do it. And then you give them a stick and it's like, no, same thing. Like if I went out and tried to play volleyball, you guys it would be just a comedy show. Like don't tell me you think you can play field hockey. You can't. But yeah, no, the announcers are huge. Like same, just spreading awareness of the ins and outs of the sport. It's helpful for people to then be so engaged. But announcers are great. Little like on the sides, you watch like basketball or volleyball, and it's like a call was called, and it's like a little explanation and a little blurb. All of that is super, super helpful for our sport.
Yeah, we started our head coach, maybe this is an idea that you could use as well, started our senior year. Every timeout would have a rule on the big board. So it would be like a double, and then it would explain it in layman's terms what that meant. And it really did, I think, help the crowd get a little bit more engaged. Z, I guess you could probably speak on it, but I don't know, maybe an idea that you could take to your team as well.
I'm literally split screening right now and writing it down. I just write it down because I love it. And there's also, it's actually funny, not that we'll stay on this topic forever, but over in Europe, they literally have these people sit in the stands that say, like, official umpire, ask me a question. And so people in the stands ask, I'm like, this brilliant. So I wrote down your little tip. We're going to implement that quickly.
That's genius.
I love it.
Yeah, I think like in a sport where like play literally stops because something happens, like volleyball, a double or something crazy, like a back row text over the line, and people are like, what the heck just happened? Like, why is the play stopping? And it's important to know those things. So that's really an idea. Yeah. Circling back, you said that you are living your dream right now, and I'm curious, was it always your dream to coach field hockey? You were obviously an elite athlete at it. You could play it forever, but now you're coaching. Let's talk about that.
No, it actually wasn't. It happened very quickly. I knew I loved coaching, and Maddie, we hit on the topic briefly about NIL before we started officially. But I always loved coaching. In high school, I would go back in the off season and like coach at my club, with like the little U10s, just adorable and fun, but I knew I liked it. And then as a player, like my teammates would come and ask me about things, or even my coach would ask me like, hey, what do you think about this? How did you feel after this drill? Whatever. I would tweak things here or there. I would watch film with my teammates. And then NIL happened. And you guys know we could hold our own camps and clinics and this and that. And that taught me a ton of coaching, but also the management side of things and budgeting and hiring staff and creating a schedule, all of that stuff, like on a much tinier scale than what I'm doing now. But I just loved it. And I knew I understood the game well enough, but also the other side is, being able to explain it in a way that's absorbable to student athletes and players. And then my I guess it was my senior year. Yeah. It all kind of happened quickly where my coach, we knew she was going to retire. And I like always joked, I could never go and coach somewhere else and put on like another color or be in a different city and like preach to recruits. Like, yeah, come to the school. Like it's the best in the country. And I'm like, I'm just lying. Like, like I could not do it. I could not do it. So I could never replace my wardrobe with like orange, purple, royal blue. Like, oh, could never. So it was always like if the stars aligned and something worked out perfectly where I could coach here, sure, that would be the only way possible. And then it did. And then it was like, oh, okay, this isn't like just a thought anymore. This could happen. And then my heart was set on it, and then we just kind of went with it. So I didn't always plan on this, but I always knew I loved it. And then it all just happened very quickly.
So when you say that it all just happened very quickly and you had your heart set on it, Z and I were talking before, and the thing that we just like couldn't get around is, what did those conversations look like? Like, what was it first with your coach? I mean, you obviously had to have probably a pretty long discussion with your AD. Mm-hmm. So talk through some of those conversations. You don't have to obviously tell all the details, but we just are dying to know, like, what the heck did that look like?
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's the best part of the story, but I don't know the specific time when it officially like became a thought that we could act on, if that makes sense. Like we always knew my coach was going to retire soon, and then we finally heard like she was going to. She never like sat us down, but we just knew. And then there were rumors flying around, of course. Like I would go and coach a clinic, and like we would do a little Q&A with like a 10-year-old, and she would have the night. She's like, "Are you going to be the next coach?" And I was like, "Oh dear God!" Like rumors flying around, this and that. And then somehow my parents got wind of it, and then that's when it became like okay, wait, it's maybe not as crazy as everyone thinks. Let me give it some thought, whatever. Then the conversations with my coach happened. But the main priority at hand that I had to be aware of is that I was still playing while I was thinking about this and planning this, because she was going to retire right after my season, which she did. Our season ends always the first week or the week right before Thanksgiving, and she announced her retirement, and then spring starts in January, you guys know. So it was like I had to have these conversations with myself and my parents and whoever during season, and the number one priority was making sure the locker room was fine and that the team was fine and that it wasn't getting in the way of anything or distracting, because we wanted to win. So I guess before the season, I went to my athletic director while I was still playing, and it was right before preseason, and I just sat him down and I said, "Look, I just don't want to be overlooked. I don't expect to be handed the job, but I know Karen's going to retire, and I just want to be in the search. Like, I'm not asking for it. I'm not saying for you to give it to me. I want to earn it. I just, like, don't overlook a 22-year-old." And he looked at me like I had 5 heads and was like, "Well, I did not expect this." But he said, "Okay, go win a national championship, and then we will talk." So I said, "Okay." So I went back, and we had a whole season, and we played, and we eventually won that season. So then I went back to him and I said, "Okay, Bubba, I listened to you. We did it. Now I want to talk again." And he said, "Okay, well, let's go through the interview process. Again, you're not being handed this. You have to earn it." And I didn't know until the meeting with him where he sat me down and slid the paper across the table that I got it. But all of those discussions, like I had to be very, I guess, professional about, because of the season going on.
Sorry, we were both muted. Wow, I guess is first and foremost, I think that Z, you probably have something you can relate to in the sense of like when the season's going on, and you have to strike a balance between figuring out what's next and being so present that, like, because obviously your teammates are all looking to you to be the leader on the court, off the court, or the field, I should say, obviously. And so to be able to like put that hat on when you're alone with your parents and by yourself and your own thoughts in your journal, and then go to your your teammates and still be the leader that they needed, that's so impressive. That's such a neat story.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess I mean, you guys know, being successful athletes too, like compartmentalization is key, and being able to switch it on and switch it off, and like, okay, you can go home and be a normal 22-year-old with your college friends, and then you step on the field and it's business to take care of, and then go have a adult conversation, with an athletic director or coach, but then go call your boyfriend and like mess around, like whatever. Like it's all super important on how to just compartmentalize things.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. But it's not as easy as people think it is.
No.
Okay, on that's a good transition too. So we kind of talked about this before we started recording, but another thing that Z and I have both had to figure out is so when we were seniors, we had a coach that was an assistant coach who we were friends with before. We hung out with her at extracurriculars. She played at Kentucky, so we knew her as a student. And now she's the assistant coach. And then this past year, one of Z's best friends became the other assistant coach. And so we had a similar situation where, okay, you were our best friend and now you're a person of authority.
Right.
So talk us through that. What does that look like, coaching your best friends? You said your old roommates.
Yeah.
How has that been so far?
Interesting. Wait, so fun you guys have a similar experience, because not a lot of people do, obviously. But for me, it was even more exaggerated because of the head thing in front of my title. But I guess for me, when I first sat them down, actually, it even started when I was applying. I was super transparent, and that's been one of the things we lean on day in and day out. I let them know right after the season I was applying, just in case, not even thinking, okay, I had the job or not already, but just, I don't want rumors. I just want to be transparent with you guys. That I think helped a ton, because they just respected the fact that I wasn't hiding things from them and being weird. And I had their support. And then on day one, the three things we talked about were transparency, respect, and communication. And it's kind of what we've leaned on this whole time, and just being really deliberate with those three things have helped me personally, but also them in the dynamic. Transparency. I mean, you guys know, you're female athletes too. Like, we like understanding the why behind things. Like, we don't like guessing. You can go tell a guy to go run 5 miles and he'll say, okay, and go do it. We're going to be like, why? Like, how is this helping me? Like, just tell me. And then, oh, okay, I get it. I'm buying in. Or actually, I disagree, but I appreciate you being honest with me. I'm still buying in. Just that why helps. So the transparency behind a lot of things has helped us a ton. Most importantly, being vulnerable and being transparent with that. Me being like, I don't have all of the answers. I'm not coming in here acting like I do. Like, I've been here for 40 years. I haven't. But I guess just my work ethic and the way they know me, and saying it and putting it into existence of like, I will figure out those answers if I don't know them. That helped a ton. But it was important for me not to come in and be a dictator and say, this is how we're doing things. This is what's going to work. Like, they would not have responded to that. They responded well to, okay, Erin doesn't know everything. She knows a lot, but if she doesn't, she's going to bend over backwards for us and figure it out. And then the respect element was huge, because for us, it looks a little different. And I'm sure it did for you guys too. Like, there's the natural assistant coach player and head player, but there's also the balance, I guess, or the teetering of, everybody knows what head coach and player means, but we didn't want to make it unnatural or weird or forced, if that makes sense. And like, I was the best friend. I was the roommate. It's not like I all of a sudden need to shut them out and they don't need to know about my personal life or need to not connect with me and like everything. So there needed to be that element of respect there, of those boundaries, but also the willingness to figure out the new boundaries. And maybe our boundaries are going to look different than what Coach Shelton's 42-year endeavor boundaries look like, and that will just evolve with time. And then thirdly, the communication, going back, I mean, they all kind of go together, as most things do, but over communicate everything. Like, there are going to be certain decisions where, hey, this is a staff decision, just go with it. But if that's the case, we tell them, hey, trust us, put your head down, do what we're saying. And then they're like, okay, this is one of those things. Otherwise, it's being super transparent and communicating through those boundaries, just checking in with them and connecting and being relatable. It helped us a ton. So they all kind of help each other, but that's kind of what's kept us in line, I guess, and
Yeah.
working as well as we can. And I'm sure a lot of it, like your assistant coaches have done and focused on, and otherwise it like literally would not have worked.
I
I was
just
gonna
Z.
say, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I just have one thing and then you take it from here. I was just gonna the whole time I'm thinking of like, how are you gonna keep your friends? Like you're coaching them. That's what my head goes to. I didn't even think like you're making playtime decisions. Like those are decisions that hurt people's feelings.
Yeah.
Inevitably. That
Yeah.
sucks. I didn't even think about that. I'm just thinking like, Erin, how are you gonna keep your friends? Like you're the head coach, but you already had that covered. And then on top of that, I think the communication piece was so good. Because if you just sat one of your best friends because someone was better than them without communicating that, it could be ugly.
Yeah. Well, and just like setting expectations. It's one of the things like I've kind of did as a captain, but also the staff's always done a wonderful job of it. Like I'd rather someone be mad at me for 12 hours and go home and go to bed and wake up and be like, okay, I still like, I'm pissed off at her decision, but like, at least she told me what it was and didn't like make me guess and whatever. Or the expectations that are set straight up are like, okay, great, let's run with it. But I just really, we all try to really avoid the whole guessing games and making student athletes worry about stuff that they shouldn't have to worry about, or just toying with their mind. Like that's unfair. So, yeah, I mean, there's been hard conversations, there's been tough decisions, but we try our best to just have it in the best way possible and be as honest as possible, and proactive. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, we're not perfect. We're all learning, but we're just, yeah, super intentional with those kind of things.
The whole time I'm thinking, wow, you handled that way better than my friend on the coaching staff did. She just ignored me for like most of the season, so
Oh, no.
that worked out well. Yeah.
Hopefully she's not listening. She's the best. We love her.
I know she's great. Handled
Yeah.
a lot better for me than it was for her.
But it's uncomfortable. Like it's
is
so
hard.
uncomfortable.
It is. One of the biggest things though, we told them on the first day, it was, this is unique, this is different, it doesn't need to be weird. And I just think like, yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's going to be awkward. Yes, it's going to be different. Like I'm having conversations with, scholarship stuff and financial stuff and playing time and this and that. And they're not comfortable conversations for anyone to have, let alone someone who used to be their teammate and friend. But just being very open with it and like, hey, okay, ready? This is going to be a really awkward and uncomfortable conversation. Buckle up. Okay, let's do it. Like it all just helps.
Wow.
That's tough. I was also thinking like, not only is the dynamic different between like your players and you, but also you're probably younger than everyone on your staff, younger than your trainer, younger than every other coach on campus. Like you've been younger, like you were 17 on the national team. You've been in this position before. What does it feel like trying to lead as everyone's looking down at you from an age standpoint?
Yeah, I think that's helped. Honestly, just it's weird. And you guys like sitting here too, I'm sure you think back on like literally your life and how all of these different pieces happened. And you're like, oh, that taught me this. And actually it's helping me now. And it's just so bizarre and like so cliche, but like literally everything happens for a reason. And looking back, like me always playing up, that helped my play because I had to play smarter. I had to play faster, stronger, whatever. But it also taught me how to travel on my own, which taught me lessons and time management and this and that, and how to have conversations as an adult, even though I was 17, stuff like that. It all helped. But that was one of the biggest parts of last spring when I was first hired was the staff, because yes, they are, I mean, much older than me. And then also they coached me. So now it's like me coming in being like, okay, I'm in charge or whatever you want to call it. And they're like, wait, but this is so drastic even for them. So those were other hard conversations. They were honest conversations. And it took time. Like for both the team and the staff, like I am grateful for how it all worked out and the maturity of the team and the staff to be where we are now. But like, it was not a rainbow and butterflies like powwow, like it was a challenge. But I think back to everything that's hard, like we are so close now and so much in a better place because of those hard conversations and just diving headfirst into everything. So yeah, I'm very grateful for them.
That transitions well, because something we haven't talked about yet is your old coach. And I can tell you kind of light up when you talk about her, which is like such a blessing. And I know that not every student athlete has that experience.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Z and I also had that experience where we adored our head coach. But talk to us what your relationship is like with your head coach. I should say your old head coach, but she's your head coach. So tell us about how she's mentored you. I'm sure she's probably been your go-to phone call and a lot of this. So talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, she's still on speed dial. She's really enjoying retirement and watching the grandkids and golfing and pickleball, but she's on speed dial. I love hearing that you and Z had that relationship and still have that relationship and experience, because I feel for people who do not have a great experience like that with their head coach, who, I mean, it's literally why I wake up every day. Like I want to be that person for someone, and it's crazy to think that sometimes people aren't or don't care about that. But for me, Karen Shelton, yes, she was here. I mean, she was here for 42 years. She won 11 or 10 national championships and 25 ACC championships, the most out of any program. Just insane. I was lucky when I was 9 years old. I actually played with her niece, who was a couple years older, but she would be at games and stuff. So, and back then the recruiting rules were different, where like I could still see her on the sideline and come to camp and stuff when I was that young. So we started our relationship way back then. And then I obviously was recruited by her. I played for her. I was a captain under her, which is another level, as you guys know, of just experience in that relationship, kind of. And then now she's literally my mentor. So it's been really fun to go through those different phases and do it with her. But I love her. She loves all of us so much. She's taught us so much and pushed us and challenged us. But I think what she's always done a very good job at is, one, she's brilliant. She's always 2 steps ahead. But she treated all of us how we needed to be treated to get the most out of us on the field, in the classroom, whatever, as a person, which is something I'll always take from her, because you can't treat everybody the same. Some people like harsh criticism, others need positive reinforcement, some need a little bit more grace and patience, while others I don't know, you guys know, everyone's different. So she always did a wonderful job with that. But yeah, I look up to her a ton. She motivates all of us, and I'm lucky she's struck the balance very well of being around enough to help, but understanding that it's been a transition with everything.
What a blessing. That's awesome. Yeah. I think that with my dad, has coached varsity basketball, which he's done it for 30 years though. And so he always says that, we're all people pleasers in some capacity. And with coaching, you're probably always going to have that 10 to 20% who just aren't going to like you. Yeah. And that's not a you thing. That's just the nature of human beings. And so that's something I always struggled with. I'm like, I want everyone to love me, but it's not always possible. And as a head coach, like, he's the best man in the world, and there's just guys who, aren't going to like you. And so sometimes it's hard to swallow, but the 80% will be in your corner for
exactly.
I think another thing, and you kind of mentioned like her not treating people the same, but it would be so easy for you to look to her, and she won 10 national championships, to try and imitate everything that she did to create your own success. But I'm sure there are some pieces that you still take from her, whether that's like tangible field hockey skill or how you run your team. But what have you like most used to help run this program?
I think that's that also helped the transition with the team and the staff a ton, because I didn't come in here trying to change what time we practiced at, or trying to change the philosophies we're about and how we played. Like, one, it worked and it still works, so you don't need to fix anything that isn't broken. But also in terms of consistency, which I'm big on, it just helped the flow and the transition of things. And it eliminated kind of those unnecessary stressors and questions and this and that. So You know, my whole thing was respecting, and it still is, respecting the history and the tradition that's worked again. But how can we take it to the next level? How can we modernize, and how can I be a little bit more relatable to the team and recruits and everything? How can we as a staff work more efficiently and have certain conversations that will help us? But it wasn't like I was coming in, let's change everything. One, I experienced what worked and I believe in what works. But two, also the team and the staff didn't need that. So for me, it was more, let's just evolve at a quicker pace and tweak some things and move forward, always trying to stay a couple steps ahead, rather than get rid of everything. But yeah, I mean, there are certain things, like I knew what the team was complaining about in the locker room because I was the one they were complaining to go talk to coach, you know? So like there are certain things that we've done that they've appreciated, and just little things that I believe in, that add up and make a difference. But for overall, the most part, like we are still Carolina field hockey to our core, and we always will be.
That is so awesome. Tradition is truly everything, and
Mhm.
if you can keep that going, that's exciting. One more field hockey question I have, Erin, is just, I know we talked about it a little bit before, but talk us through, first of all, how far field hockey has come
Mhm.
in X years, and where do you see the next 10 years? Where do you see field hockey being in America, at least in the next
Yeah.
10?
It's been very exciting to see just more growth, more people getting into the sport, whether that's playing or even just watching and paying attention. And I think it's the same kind of road as all women's sports right now. You've seen it with volleyball, you've seen it with basketball, you've seen it with lacrosse, all in their own ways and at different paces and stuff. But I think that like we need more young women, female athletes playing for so many reasons. And I know we're super passionate about it. And I think if you're involved in female athletics, you have to be, or are to some extent. But it's been great to see that. And then obviously the US team qualifying for Paris, is a big deal. So we'll be in the Olympics over there. 2028 being held in LA, on our home turf, that'll be exciting for all sports. So it's our job to kind of just keep pushing that. And going back to what we were talking about at the beginning, for us, it's all about accessibility, and people understanding what we're all about. Because again, when you see people watching field hockey, they like it. It's exciting. Same thing with volleyball. It's an exciting game to watch. There's lots of action. There's lots of stuff going on. There's not much downtime. It's fast paced, but the hurdle is the understanding behind it, so you can really get obsessed with it, like we are here. So for us, we'll keep just kind of driving at that, and seeing what we can do, and getting it into schools and getting sticks into younger girls' hands so that they have that journey, and training and everything, so that they have the skills to play at a higher level. But it's been fun to see what works for volleyball, what works for basketball and lacrosse and soccer and all these different sports, and how, what can we steal to help our sport, or what can we give you guys that's worked for our sport, that'll help you. And I just think the community of women's sports right now is at an all-time powerful peak.
Oh, it's so exciting. We talk about it all the time, the way that basketball is getting crowds, the way volleyball is getting crowds, the way that field hockey is growing, the way that things are being televised. We are in such a unique time, and you're so right. Everyone's just wanting to help each other get to that next step on the ladder. So it's an exciting time, for sure.
Yeah, we've been playing in a bunch of different places around the country. We were at Vegas, and Las Vegas' WNBA team, the Aces, just won the championship. They're at the Vegas Thrill game, at the volleyball game, and we're in Omaha, and they have female athletes there. But beyond that, like Derek Carr was at another game. Drew Brees was at the San Diego game last night. And so I think everyone is like really investing in it and realizing how big it can be, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
This might be a stupid question. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that's what's so cool too, is it's no longer field hockey players supporting field hockey players or volleyball supporting volleyball. It's everyone, and like women's sports supporting women's sports, but now it's even women supporting men and men supporting women and men supporting men. It's like literally this whole snowball, which is just, it's really exciting.
Yeah. Absolutely. This might be a stupid question, and I probably should have asked this sooner, but your playing career is done. It's out of pause. It's in the balance.
Plead the fifth.
God. No, we that's an interesting question with an interesting answer because yeah, when I was hired, it was like my athletic director and the executive team and everyone on the hiring committee, that was one of their number one questions was what are you going to do? And we don't want to make you feel like you have to choose. They hated that. They didn't want that burden. And I respected that fully. But it ultimately came down to me. And I was like, I know you guys aren't forcing me to choose, but I had the conversations and I weighed it. I could not see myself. And now being in it for a year and doing what we did, like I'm confident in my decision. It would not have worked, but I couldn't see myself doing both because I either thought my play was going to suffer. I wouldn't have had enough time to train and whatnot. And trust me, I was not in good shape at the beginning of the year because I was just working so much. My play was going to suffer, and that wouldn't be fair to me, but more importantly, the team. And then on the flip side, if I was trying to train and fit it all in, Carolina was going to suffer, and I wasn't going to have enough energy or time or whatever to put towards the team and the staff, which also isn't fair to them. So to me, I was like, look, I get you guys don't want me to choose, but I have to, like, and that's fine with me. Like, I'm okay with that. And it came down to just where my heart was telling me to be. Obviously, playing, I miss it. I love it. I still get out there with them, or I still go and take a little break during the day and go play around. But I was just like, how can I not do this? How can I not jump at this? And so I did. And I'm someone who doesn't really, I make decisions and I commit to something and I don't look back. And it's worked out, but we'll see. I mean, I told my athletic director if the stars align and it becomes possible one day, like so be it. So it's there, but this is my priority and it always will be, to make sure, that Carolina gets my best and the team and the staff and everyone gets my best and is taken care of, every day. So I know not really a definitive answer for you, but that's
great.
where we're at.
Erin, you seem like an all-in kind of person, like 100% in or 100% out.
Yeah, and there's no in between. I can't like live with myself. I'm sure you guys can relate because again, you're successful, but like I can't give something 80% and be okay with that. Like it doesn't work. I'm like then it's not as good as it could be. So yeah, that's where it stems from, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that I wanted to touch on, speaking of, it seems like that's one of your values, and another value that this is hilarious, but I went to your LinkedIn because that's the world I'm in.
You need to update that. It's probably not updated.
Oh my gosh, it was the cutest thing ever because you have this like little bio.
Yep.
It's like a couple paragraphs, and I read it a few times because one, it was very eloquent and just very well worded. And two, you had a couple one-liners where I was like, girl, you kind of killed that. One of them being, you have an infinitive to inspire. Mm-hmm. And you said that that's something that stemmed from when you were like a little girl. So talk about that a little bit. I think that's probably a value you hold close to your heart. So talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. That is at the core of me. My job, it's a job of any head coach, is to inspire and empower whoever you're coaching. It's also, as a player, I experienced that with the following I had in the younger girls and coaching now, recruiting. It's like that is where it all comes from. And I think that's where we've seen women's sports take off, is because there are so many younger people now, or people my age, or even older people now, who are like, wait, she did it, I can do this, and I'm going to go after this. It's all about that, and that's how we can take anything to the next level. So to me, I've kind of always gone back to that. And there's a quote, and I never get it perfectly right, but from Kobe Bryant. He said, the greatest thing you can do is inspire someone else to be great at whatever it is they want to do. And for me, yes, I'm coaching field hockey players, and yes, I'm managing a staff and going and speaking at this event and whatnot. But I don't care if you're a field hockey player. I don't care if you do podcasts. I don't care if you are a CEO in some profession that I don't even know how to speak the language of, right? But if I can just inspire you a little bit to champion what you do and to be great at whatever the hell it is you are doing, then I feel successful with, what I'm doing. So, I kind of always just go back to that, and it's worked out for now, and we'll try to just continue that through a field hockey program, but hopefully, kind of breaking those barriers down, and being a little bit more of a brand that just has that at the center of its mission.
So good. That's so good.
So it's interesting because like inspiring someone, I guess, is not like a real measurable thing. Something you can be like, I inspired this person 92% or anything like that. But like, I guess it leads on to my question, like, as you're obviously a winner as a player, as a coach already, but beyond winning, like, how do you measure success in your coaching career? Like, what does a successful season or coaching career look like for you?
Good question. I think I would take that in a couple different directions, and I think I would give you another immeasurable answer, because trophies are easy to measure, and that obviously it represents success. You did it, but to me, that will always be, and just the way our program's at right now, like every single season, we sit down and we hammer out our goals and this and that, and literally every season it's a national championship, and under that is a Final Four appearance, and then it's regular season champions and ACC champions, and we know those are the goals, and we know those all end with a trophy or a ranking or whatever, but we set those and we forget about them because they're not possible without having a good practice today and having a better practice tomorrow, or having a hard conversation and working through something, or all of these little wins and little challenges that matter. And then eventually, yeah, you'll get there. But you can't, like, especially in our generation, the younger generation now, it's like, I want to be the best in my sport. And it's like, okay, if that's your only goal and that's what you're focused on, like, you're never going to get there. It's not possible. You need to set that, sure, and be ambitious, but forget about it and focus on today, focus on this one rep, focus on this drill. So I'm very passionate about just doing, like, simplifying your life and goals and everything. So for me, aside from the tangible trophies, and the rankings and whatever, my success is, I guess, immeasurable, because it's, if the girls feel like I will do anything for them, I will run through a brick wall. If they can feel that I will fight for them, great. If the staff knows I will do everything in my power to make sure they are, managed properly and set up for success, and that we can walk out of this door and lead a team properly, great. If I can sit and make someone feel heard, not necessarily maybe someone who's in the starting lineup or even playing, but someone riding the bench, which is not it's such an underestimated thing, feel valued and heard and appreciated, that's success to me. So I don't know how you measure all of that. Maybe in an end of year survey with the girls, I don't know. But for me, if I can just show up every day and be the best coach and make them feel inspired and empowered, then that's a successful season in some sense to me.
So good.
Sure.
I think that's a legacy thing, right? Like, whatever your legacy is, although that takes a long time to build a legacy, that's probably the most clear measurement of if you're successful in that.
True.
Another thing, Erin, I've been thinking about a lot as you've been speaking is in the Last Dance documentary with Michael Jordan, when all the guys would go out on Thursday night in Vegas, and he'd go out, but then he was up at 5 knocking on their doors like, hey, dude, you said you'd work out with me. Like, I remember there was a quote where one of his teammates was like, MJ would do crazy stuff, but he would tell us to do crazy stuff, but we always knew that he would be doing it as well.
Right.
Like,
right.
And crazy stuff as in, like, you're going to challenge your girls, but they know that you did it. Exactly. That you've already been there. Like, you did the things that you're challenging them to do. So I think that's a testament of a good leader as well.
Yeah. No, definitely. We always, when we have to get on them a little bit, it's like, guys, I will never get on you if it's something that, one, I know you can do, or that I've done myself, or something that we haven't talked to you about and taught you and warned you about. Like, that there's no excuse if we know you can do it and you've proven you can do it, or we've discussed the possibility of this and we're not getting a response out of you. So, like, for me, it's, they know the standards are there, but I went through it with them. Yeah, same thing. Like it's actually funny. Before we had the podcast this morning, I went out on the field and got a little workout in, and it's like 7 a.m. Because I'm a person where I need to get up. Like, it's not like I can get home from work at 5 p.m. and like be like, let's get a good workout in. Like, no, I can't shut my laptop. I have a problem. 2, I am exhausted. So if I'm going to get something done, it's going to be in the morning, and I get out there. It's a Monday. We just had a recruiting weekend. The girls were actually going to the governor's mansion today, so we don't have practice. But it's 7 a.m. I'm out there. I walk in. I have my headphones in, and I walk into the locker room, and I'm just looking around, checking everything, and I look up and I get startled because one of the girls is standing right there, and she's like, "Oh, I'm doing the same thing. Like, see you out there, like whatever." She's in the corner doing her thing. I'm on the other side doing my own thing. 3 more girls wander out from the locker room, ready to play. Again, it's like 7:30 at this point on a Monday, and they just want to get out there. We don't have practice today, so it's stuff like that where, one, it's good for me to be present and see them coming out and working, but it's also powerful for them to walk out and be like, oh, that's our coach. Like, she's up early too and working out. And not that that's the reason I'm doing it, but those things all help for when they're on the line and bent over and tired and sweaty. Like, it's like, all right, I've been there, push through it. I know you can do it. And don't get mad at me because I did it. Like, I spent my time. So it all helps.
Yeah, that's so good. I was gonna ask you, I know we don't have much time left, but one thing, and it's perfect because you were just talking about it. I know that all successful people have successful habits. So what are some habits that you formed maybe post college that have kind of kept you grounded and kept you in a strong routine?
Yeah, great question. I think the first one that comes to mind is something that I'm still working on, but it's like I'm proud of myself in a way that I'm aware of it, is that work-life balance, because like I'm so passionate about this, and a lot of coaches are so passionate about what they're doing, hopefully, or just people in general, where I go home at night and it's like, I want to plan this spreadsheet, like blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I can't do this because tomorrow I'll be tired and frustrated because I didn't give my mind a break. So I'm still toying with it, but I think just the awareness of that habit is important for me right now. I think just consistency and being in a routine has helped me. It's the same mindset I had as a player. Like, I will do 10 reps of this one thing, and if there is 1 rep in there that's not perfect, I will grab another ball until I get 10 perfect reps. In the morning, if I have throughout the week okay, I'm getting up early this day, I'm working out this day's doing my recovery, like whatever it is. This day I'm taking off and getting into the office early and working, like whatever my routine is, being consistent with that, I think has helped me a ton. What else? I think, I don't know. I like cooking. I like being healthy, but with a balance. Like, like I like my Chick-fil-A and I do it when I deserve it. But like being healthy throughout my life also makes sure I can show up and be healthy for everyone around me. I don't know. It's a good question. I'm going to think about it more, but I go to bed really early now. My staff laughs at me because I'm literally in bed by 8:30 so that I can wake up super early. And they're like, Erin, like you're the 23-year-old. Like you're not supposed to be saying no to like dinner on a recruiting trip because you're in your PJs at 8 p.m. And I'm like, sorry. Like, I'm sorry. I'm in my PJs currently texting you. So, yeah, those are some things.
I love it.
That's
I love
awesome.
it.
That's awesome. And I was thinking the whole time, like, so much of that and who you are, like, comes from your family and your parents, and like the way Maddie is, like I know she is that way because I know her family, and she would say the same about me. So like, what you talked about your family and your parents earlier, like they did it the right way. Like, what do you mean by that? What did they instill in you that you still do now?
Yeah. I think one of their big things was just do what's right. And integrity is at the top of our values for our program. It's just do what's right for yourself, always for your family, always for your teammates, always for your program and university, just do what's right. They've instilled that in me ever since I was young. Another thing is do your job and take pride in it and do it well. It's funny, but I literally it's the classic, you go to a drive-through, say it's Chick-fil-A on a day that I deserve it. and you get the bag. Chick-fil-A always puts a straw in the bag for your drink, always. And growing up, we'd go to whatever, like McDonald's or whatever, and go through the drive-thru, and they'd forget a straw in the bag. And my parents would be like, just do your job. Just do your job. Like, and now I just echo it. And it's one of those like funny, like, holy crap, I can't believe that moment like shaped my life in a way. But they have taught me just whatever job you do, and maybe that's where the all in like 100% comes from, but whatever job you do, you take pride in that and you get it done as well as you can. They've instilled that in me. I think they have done a very good job of the dedication piece of it, which is where I guess my routine and consistency comes into play, and how we do things as staff and team, like just simplifying it in a way. And yes, we always want to push the tempo and push standards and this and that, but honestly, things don't need to be reinvented or like this crazy immaculate thing. Like, just keep it simple, and stay consistent with that. And then I guess finally, I would say the element of going above and beyond for the people around you. Like, my boyfriend laughs at me. People like, they're like, Erin, like, I asked you for this favor, and like all you had to do was shoot this like little text off, but like you sent an email with a photo and like a couple emojis, and like it was like a freaking paragraph novel. And I'm like, sorry, like, I don't know, I was just raised to like go above and beyond for whoever needed help. And honestly, like, that's where I was never brought up to play selfishly. I was never brought up to care about myself. I just wasn't. And I really contribute my awards and my records and accolades, whatever, to just, hey, I showed up every day wanting to make my teammate better. And that honestly helped me in the end. So we try to preach that to the girls too. Like, it is about everybody else. If you just focus on everybody else, normally you'll be all right. And people are going to want to help you in return too. So I guess, yeah, they did a really good job with all of that.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. See, I was gonna say the same thing. They're obviously must be successful too. What do they do for jobs?
My mom works for MasterCard. She's done a couple different things, and it's horrible. I hope she's not listening to this. Horrible that I don't know exactly what she does, but she is so brilliant, and like runs a team and designs a website and like does something. I don't know. She's like, people rely on her a lot, and she's brilliant. Love you, Mom. But she works for MasterCard. And then my dad, growing up, he was a physical therapist, which helped a ton with like me practicing and being sore and this and that, and like making sure I wasn't overworking, but making sure I was doing enough. And then a couple of years ago, he transitioned to like the operational side of the hospital. So that's where my like business mind from both of my parents comes in, to like, how can we be more efficient? How can we work smarter and just design things a little bit better? So he's with that now.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Z, should I ask the final question, or do you have anything else?
No, go for it.
Erin, our last and favorite question to ask everybody, and I have a feeling you're gonna have a pretty good answer to this, so no pressure. Is, if you had one piece of advice for all the winning women out there, what would it be?
Ooh, one piece of advice for all the winning women. I would say keep going. Only because it was like the topic of discussion after my freshman year. It was like, okay, you won. What do you want to do now? It's like, I want to win again. And now it's the topic you won as a coach. Like, what's left to do? Like, you've done what most coaches want to do. It's like, well, I want to make it completely undeniable that, I am the best. And Karen Shelton did that. And it's like, Coach, I'm coming for you. Like, she knows it too. Like, I want to keep going. So, I think it's like the fire that's in there has only allowed all of winning women to be as successful as they are. But I just would encourage to not let that fire go out, because I think it's what you need. I think it's whatever your profession needs and the people in that, but it's also what the next generation needs. So I would just say, keep going, never be satisfied. Yes, be proud, and reflect and be honored. But at the same time, compartmentalization, like, put it away, tuck it away. Okay, let's do it again and let's do it better. And just be unapologetic in that because we need it and we can do it and we know it. But just keep going.
Love it.
Girl, you make me want to run through a brick wall. I'll play field hockey for you.
Well, hey,
Oh.
if you're ever in Chapel Hill, you let me know. We'll get dinner or something and hang out, but definitely around.
We
Absolutely.
say that after every episode. Like every single
Nice.
time after we like stop recording, we'll be like, all right, we'll grab dinner, but
Yeah.
it's even better.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, well, thank you so much. This has been such a blessing. I know I speak on behalf of Z and I, but we've been talking about this episode for a while, and I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed by the nuggets of wisdom that you had to share at just 24 or 25?
24 in March, so soon.
What day?
17th.
Oh, I'm the 7th, and I thought you were
Oh,
going to say
nice.
7th.
Right? No. But yeah, soon. So I know we're still 23 right now. Loving
Babies.
it.
We're all
Short
babies.
in year.
Short in year. Well, thank you, Erin. We appreciate it.